This segment is brought to you by the Vancouver International Jazz Festival, kicking off summer in the city for 40 years.
Well, we're back here at Armory Studios, and Jim, why are we here?
Well, now we can reveal what we're doing here. Over the next couple months, we're going to do a series of segments that are spotlighting the upcoming Vancouver International Jazz Festival, which takes place June 20th to July 1st. Lita, this is always the kickoff to the summer officially for me when the Jazz Festival is in town.
It is, and it's their 40th annual.
That's great. More information at coastaljazz.ca. But let's get to the first segment in this series of segments on Our City Tonight. It is with a great singer-songwriter. Well, our first guest on this series of segments to promote and showcase the upcoming Vancouver International Jazz Festival is an artist that Lita and I have fallen in love with very quickly. Dawn Pemberton joins us here in the control booth area at Armory Studios. We are so excited to have you on the show. Welcome.
Thank you. I'm so happy to be here with you today. Thank you.
Good.
We couldn't wait to have you on the show, and it's the 40th annual Jazz Festival. You've been involved with them for some time. Tell us a little bit about your experience, and also we know there's an upcoming stage presentation during, I'm going to say, Sunday, June 22nd. We're going to repeat that. It's on the Georgia Street stage. That is a free concert by you. Don't miss it. Tell us about your involvement with the Jazz Festival.
Yeah, I've been a lover of the Vancouver Jazz Festival for so many years. I remember going as a teenager, and checking out all this great live music that was free, the downtown stages, which I think is really incredible as a young person. Like there weren't very many places where you can go and hear live jazz, right? That wasn't, a 19 and older venue. So I had that experience. That was kind of like my first, wow, what is this magical thing that's happening in our city? And then, as I got interested into music and became a performer and a professional musician, then, I remember my first Jazz Fest was really very, very special, and it was incredible to be invited, and it felt like a bit of recognition and being a sign of respect by the musical community and the city to say hey, you're on the right path, and it's a little dot of affirmation. So it's really very special.
Well, listen, this is, pardon the musical pun, but to blow your horn now.
Thank you.
You've done very well. Some of these accolades you're getting, Canada's Queen of Soul. You also, your album, which we're going to talk about in a second, Say Something, won Best Urban Recording of the Western Canadian Music Awards. You have received multiple Juno Awards. You clearly know what you're doing.
I try.
You do. But let's talk about this album, because Lita and I were joking off camera that we're showing our age a bit, but that's okay, because the people that we see similarities between what you do and what they did, Roberta Flack, Maria Muldaur, who Lita loves, this is all part of what we're hearing when we hear your new album. I shouldn't say your latest album.
Yeah.
Say Something. Talk a bit about this album for people who may not know of it.
Yeah, so Say Something was an album of, for many years I had been a side person working with other people in their bands and projects, and I, had all these songs and all these ideas that I wanted to kind of get out and sort of share with the world. And I have a lot of musical influences. I love jazz, I study jazz music. I love gospel, I love blues, I love R&B, I love, yacht rock, I love all that stuff. So I feel like Say Something sort of showcases all of the things that I love. And some people are like, oh, that's interesting. It's a bit jazzy, and oh, it's a bit soulful, but really, I just thought these are the sounds that I love, and that's how it kind of came out in that album. And I'm currently working on some new music for a new album called Supernova. So I'm excited about that too.
Yeah. Well, we're certainly looking forward to that. What would you name your style one way at all? Do you have kind of your own little moniker for your style?
You know what? No, but I should.
You should.
I should. Yeah, I should.
Definitely should.
Yeah.
You're also, we want to mention, you're also a teacher. You're a pianist, teacher, a choir director. Tell us a little bit about the women's choir.
Oh yeah, so Roots and Wings Women's Choir is a choir that I started about 11 years ago, and it's a wonderful community of singers who have like a wide variety of musical experiences, and really I wanted to create a community for women's voices that was a little bit different than some of the traditional women's choirs that are around right now. And mostly I feel like women's repertoire for women's choirs is like very like, I talk about love, we sing about springtime and nature. And I wanted to sort of showcase, that women's choirs can sing about other things and other experiences. And so this choir of people are just a wonderful group, and God bless them for trusting me to lead them down an interesting and creative path. So it's a lot of fun. We have a lot of fun together.
One of the things that Lita and I always like to ask actors, writers, musicians, artists, who are you hearing when you're coming up? And we mentioned people like Roberta Flack, and I said Evelyn Champagne-King and Cheryl Lynn, people like that, Anita Baker, as Lita mentioned. Who are you hearing for the first time or seeing that made you think, I think I could do that, I really want to do that? Was there a music influence that you heard? I mean, we always talk to people, was there, or can you put it down to just one thing? Was there somebody you heard?
For me, it was Mahalia Jackson. So I grew up in a very
that's pretty good stuff. Okay.
Yeah, I grew up in a very musical family, and my parents were always listening to music. Music was always on, and I have lots of siblings who were also musicians, and so they were listening to tons of music. They were practicing, but for me, there was something about hearing Mahalia Jackson for the first time. I remember I had inherited this old like stereo component, and so I got to put it in my bedroom, which was like very special, right? You have your own thing. But the thing about it is that it had an 8-track like deck, and I was like, well, what is this thing? So I found all these old 8-tracks like in my parents' in the basement, and so I was like putting them in. And being like, oh, well, what's this? And there was a Mahalia Jackson 8-track. Oh, wow. And I remember just lying in my room listening to this like big, beautiful voice. And really, I was very moved. I didn't know why or what, but there was something about me that kept me curious about her, and sort of was a beautiful introduction to singing and gospel music and just music in general.
Folks, look, Sunday, June 22nd, downtown Georgia Street Stage, a great location. That's where you'll see Dawn performing 6:30 p.m. We should also say dawnpemberton.ca, and of course the Jazz Festival is coastaljazz.ca. Dawn, thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me. Pleasure.
This segment was brought to you by the Vancouver International Jazz Festival, kicking off summer in the city for 40 years.